Howdy, folks, and welcome back. Hope you're all blessed and doing okay out there. Well, for today's video, I present to you Bud Car, the RDC story. Now, this book is about the Bud RDC car and its impact on the American Railroad. I'll be honest with all of you, I'm not too familiar with all the variants of the RDC car, but I'll tell you what I do know as we take a look. So let's see what this one has to offer. The Bud RDC car was developed in the 1930s, or 40s, one of the two, to basically be an upgrade from previous motor rail cars such as the Doodlebugs and the McKean cars. These were designed for short commuter runs and branch line operations like the Doodlebug did. They served their purposes well, and there was a variety of variations to choose from, including the RDC 1, 2, 3, and I think a few others. They weren't just here in America, there were some also sent overseas to Australia and other parts of the world to operate. There's one of the early ones, the Doodlebug. This talks about the Doodlebug. The Doodlebug was a rail car with a diesel engine or gas engine inside it, and there were quite a few variations made for it, including streamlined ones. They called it a Doodlebug because it doodled down the rails like a bug, supposedly. I'm not sure if that's true, but it might be. Even cars like this were made. This is an inspection car, and you can find these in miniature as well. Bud's early efforts. So yes, the Bud company did try to start making them. As early back, I think, as like the 30s or so, give or take. There is the Zephyr, one of their earliest trains. Very successful set of operation. A very successful train for operation. Sorry about the stuttering, guys. I'm just here and there today. Real diesel cars and equipment like this became very economical. You could run a short train without having a heavy steam engine or diesel doing a long haul. With the rail cars, it was easier. Enter the RDC. An RDC car, and this is the plans for it. I'm not going to turn the book sideways, guys. I'm sorry. What the heck? You guys want to see this stuff. An RDC car is basically a streamlined passenger car with two engines put into it and an overhead roof for air conditioning. When I was a kid, I used to think the top was a dome. It's not. You had different variations of the RDC car. You had just the coach cars, and some would have baggage, some were just made with baggage, and then some had an RPO compartment in them. A variety of railroads bought these and used them for operations, and they were very successful. The RDC cars were all powered by, to my knowledge, Detroit 110 diesels. They're not completely gone either. You can still find them in operation today in the United States, Canada, and other parts of the world. In fact, what I've heard is a lot of railroads will buy these to start a commuter operation and then get better equipment, which actually makes sense. It's a good starter rail car, I guess you could say. Success. Now, believe it or not, but I lived close to the blah, blah, blah. Rewind. Believe it or not, but RDC cars also... Let me rethink that phrase again, guys. Again, this is not rehearsed. At one time or another, in the 1990s, there were some RDC cars operating in the DFW area on what would become known as the Trinity Railway Express. When the TRE began service in 1996, they bought 13 Bud RDC cars from a variety of railroads, including the Boston and Maine, BC Rail, Canadian Pacific, and a few others. I don't know all the records. But the RDC cars on the TRE would serve their purpose well for a number of years. Eventually, the TRE would get double-decker equipment, and the RDC cars were phased out. They sat in their yard for the longest time collecting dust by the tracks. I got to ride them a couple of times, and I feel like I'm one of the lucky ones. It was cool. The RDC cars would then go to work for the Denton County Transit Authority, or the DCTA, for their A train to kind of get things started before they could get new equipment. After that, the RDC cars would come back to the yard, and then they were sold out to various railroads except for one that was left behind. There was talk about taking that car and turning it into a museum, a conference room, or maybe do excursions. That never happened, and they sent it to the worst possible place you can imagine. The Museum of Rust in Frisco. What a waste. But nonetheless, this proves that even in the later part of the 20th century and the early part of the 21st century, and even today, RDC cars are still operational and a pretty cool piece of equipment. Now, I'm not going to list every railroad that owned and operated these, the long haul, because there's too many to pick from. Each one was different, and each one had like its own unique paint scheme. But I can probably tell you guys who made them in miniature if my brain is working, which it rarely does. I do believe in Z-Gauge. It's been made by the American Z line. And N-Gauge, I think Lifelike made it. Athearn may have done it. I know Rapido has or is doing it. In HO Gauge, it's been made by Athearn and their Blue Box line. Pro 2000 or Pro 1000. Walthers has made it, I do believe. Oh man. Rapido did it recently, probably the most detailed version of all. I think I said the Athearn Blue Box did it. Not very many have done it in HO Gauge, but I could be wrong. In O Gauge, or in S Gauge, I don't think it's been done by anybody. American Flyer didn't do it. Scale Trains might do it. It wouldn't surprise me since they're going to be making S Gauge trains. I mean, heck, anything's possible. In terms of O Gauge, it's been done by Williams, Lionel, MTH, Third Rail. I don't think K-Line or Weaver made one. Weaver may have. Like I said, I've got to do my research. And in G-Gauge, it's been done by Aristocraft. Commuter runs. So it talks about the RDC cars and their commuter runs and what they did. The RDC cars on the TRE had the same prime movers as everybody else did. It sounded more like a bus, though, or a semi-truck, if you ask me. Had a pretty unique sound to it. The type of horns they used were Nathan K3Ls, or Canadian K3Ls, whatever you want to call it. And the bells varied from brass to steel to die-cast. It all just basically, varied and depended on what they were doing. Had to pause the video for a second. I'm back. There were some interesting RDC cars built, which were hopefully, pardon me, in this book, it's been a while. The New York Central had one where they put jet engines on it and a streamlined nose on it to see if they could break a record. It went pretty fast, but supposedly it was not very successful, but it looked cool. The New Haven Railroad put an Alco-like shroud on the front of their RDC cars, which actually looked pretty interesting. The New Doodlebug. They were the New Doodlebugs. They were sleek and comfortable, actually. The downside to the RDC cars on the TRE was they didn't have restrooms on them like the double-decker equipment did. And there were RDC cars that did have restrooms on them. I get it, what they were doing at the beginning. They were only running between 3 stations on the system before it expanded out from Dallas to Fort Worth. But, TRE, you should have had restrooms put into those cars. There was room at the front. I actually missed those things, to be honest, guys. They were pretty cool. An RDC car produces about 500 horsepower, I believe, because they have two 250 horsepower engines. These are not made to really haul anything behind them. Well, you could probably haul maybe 1 or 2 passenger cars like the Doodlebug did, but that's about it. These were not powerful by any means, but they got the job done. Foreign service. So this one shows where they went overseas to different parts of the world. Like I said, these were used in more than just America, which proves their success. Even today, locomotives are still being exported overseas to Europe, South America, and other parts of the world too. Oh, I like that one. That looks pretty cool, actually. Nice. Have any of you had a chance to ride behind an RDC car or see one in operation? If so, tell me in the comments. Sadly, though, much like everything else in history, the RDC cars did not last forever. But they did last for a good long time. They did their job well, and they served a good purpose. You can have a big mainline railway operation running passenger trains with steam engines and diesel trains, but you can also have short runs on branch lines to small areas with commuter cars like these. I do believe that was the point of the motor car altogether, was to make maintenance and, save on equipment, save on money, and things a lot easier. And it did. It actually worked very well, I'm told. I even got to go in the cab of one of the RDC cars on the Thierry, and I got to blow the whistle. Well, the horn. It had a whistle cord. That was fun. But it was loud. Yeah, this book's got some pretty cool stuff about the RDC car, as you guys can see. The largest fleet. Oh, looks like these guys had them. You can find RDC cars preserved in museums. Some railroads still use them, and even some tourist railroads actually have them. Some tourist railways have bought them and actually got them out and turned them into just regular passenger cars, but it still counts. Rapido Trains Inc. and the founder Jason Tron are currently restoring an RDC car to operation, along with a sleeping car and, heck, maybe a whole fleet of Canadian equipment from the past. That is a wonderful thing they're doing, I think. I am so happy they are doing that. Trying to think what else I can say about this amazing invention. I may have said enough already. An RDC car is basically, well, a trolley car with a diesel motor. Kind of looks like it in a way, or a streamliner. There's the new Havens variant right there, as you guys can see, with the streamlined shroud on the front. It actually looks really nice. And I do believe there's one of these in preservation. Hot Rod. Yeah, this is about the new Havens RDC car design, and how they put a shroud on the front there. And this probably covers what the New York Central did as well. It looks very interesting, I must say. I would like to see this in the real world and take some pictures of it. And yes, these were very comfortable to ride in. I really enjoyed riding them while I could. There's the New York Central's record breaker RDC car. Pride of the Central. This one probably talks about that. Like I said, it was a crazy idea they did, but it worked. Oh, AHM made an RDC car in O-gauge. The thing I have with O-gauge, though, is they've only made semi-scale bud cars. No one's done like a full O-gauge or O-scale version RDC car. MTH hasn't done it, and they didn't when they were still MTH, so I don't know. The years of decline. Oh yeah, this talks about the downhill decline of the RDC car. Not everything is going to last forever or be in style, which is a shame. I still think the last American-designed diesel locomotives in the country were the Genesis locomotive, the F59PH, and the F59PHI. The MP36, along with the MP40 and the oh gosh, what's it called? I forget. There's so many, but those are like the last ones built. The Siemens Chargers and the F125s, whatever they're making today, that is not what a passenger train looks like. But this is classic stuff right here, as y'all can see. As I have said, they just don't make trains like this anymore. This book just covers a lot of information about this particular rail car. The SPV 2000. Okay. So this was basically an upgraded version of the RDC car. It's an Amfleet with wheels and a motor on them. Not to say I don't like Amfleets. They look unique and like, well, spacecraft. One of my friends hates them. I love them. Unfortunately, these cars were not successful in the slightest. They were bad. They vibrated. They derailed a couple of times. They were just awful machines. They do better, believe it or not, as, well, rail cars than diesel rail cars. Yeah, Amtrak had quite a bit of these. There's a museum that has one fully intact and they want to restore it. Okay, guys, I'll be honest. I am all for preserving what we can to do with the American Railroad and keep as much as we can around. But isn't it a bit much to bring something crappy back to service that didn't do so well in the first place? No, just keep it a display piece. Summary. Well, in short, the RDC car came, it did a good job for all the railways of the country and for parts of the world. It was a very successful piece of railway equipment altogether. It had the look of a passenger car, the motor of a diesel, and it was nice to ride on for short commuter runs. I have no idea how many are left today. I have no idea how many are in operation, but I know there's quite a handful left being preserved, and that's a good thing. A motor rail car is kind of like a bus on rails, just like a trolley car is. The last time the RDC cars ran on the TRE was in the early 2010s, which was over 15 years ago. Well, a long time ago, I should say, depending on when you're looking at this video. Now, there's a Santa Fe's RDC car. I like theirs. It had a war bonnet on there. Even Amtrak had a couple of RDC cars in their fleet. I don't know if there are any Doodlebugs or McKean cars left in operation. I'm told there are, but I'm not sure where to find them. But I've got a feeling there's a ton of RDC cars left running around the country. I want to get one myself in HO. They are pretty darn cool. It wouldn't surprise me if the IRM had a couple of them. This is all technical stuff and things like that. I'm not sure how many of you take an interest in that kind of stuff, but, you can pause and read anytime you want this stuff. Show you guys the whole book as always. Red Line Review. Santa Fe. There you go. Now that they're showing just a few more of the pictures of the RDC car. Like I said, it's been a while. Well, I didn't say it at the beginning, but I'll say it now. It's been a while since I've actually looked at this book. It really is pretty darn cool. You have to admit, this stuff is amazing. The RDC car was just one of those cars that worked pretty much anywhere you wanted it to go. It did its job well. You could use it to haul freight, passengers, both, the mail, whichever works best for you. I wish the TRE had taken that last RDC car and reserved it for parties and events and maybe commuter runs, or excursion runs, I should say. You could have someone or people hop on the train and take a tour of the TRE system, talking about all the stations and the milepost markers and things like that. The TRE runs on a fair majority of the old Rock Island Railroad, where the Texas Rockets once ran between Dallas and Fort Worth. There's a New Haven one. I thought theirs were pretty cool looking. Canadian Pacific's version. I think I like the one that had the ones that had like the security tape around the nose or the marker around the front of the engine and went around to the side of the cab. I liked that paint scheme with the silver behind it too. And the American Z line is the only company to make a TRE RDC car. No one else has done them, like I said. It would be nice if they would. The Rockets. And there you have it. All right, guys, not a bad book. Pretty cool. So yeah, the RDC car was a very neat piece of equipment and still is today. All right, guys, until next time, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Be safe around trains. And remember, God loves all of us. See y'all next time. Happy rails.